The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Kethavar of the Zephyrian Empire rose from his crystalline seat, his 6 arms gesturing dismissively toward the human delegation. His translucent blue skin shimmered with condescension as he addressed the assembly of 17 different species. Honored members, Kethavar's voice resonated through the chamber's bioacoustic walls. We gathered today to discuss the humans' petition for full membership in our council. However, I must remind you all of the obvious facts. He paused dramatically, letting his words sink in. Humans live barely a century. Their bones break under pressure that wouldn't even bruise a Krathari child. They require constant atmospheric regulation, specific temperature ranges, and regular consumption of organic matter just to survive. They are, by every measurable standard, the most fragile species to ever achieve space travel. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The rock-like granoids nodded their massive heads while the energy-based Luxarians pulsed with what could only be interpreted as amusement. Even the normally diplomatic Sylvani representatives seemed to lean away from the human delegation, as if their fragility might be contagious. Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's chief ambassador, remained seated calmly at the human delegation table, her weathered hands, marked by decades of research in harsh environments, folded peacefully in her lap. Beside her, Captain Marcus Torres bore scars from the Proxima incident, burns that would have killed most species. Yet he had not only survived but saved his entire crew. Furthermore, Kethavar continued, warming to his subject, humans wage war upon themselves with alarming frequency. They destroy their own habitats, poison their own atmosphere, and show remarkable creativity in developing new methods of self-destruction. How can we trust such a species with the responsibilities of galactic citizenship? The Hive Queen of the Sectari Collective clicked her mandibles in what passed for agreement among her kind. The individual human mind is chaos, she transmitted through the chamber's neural network. No coordination, no unified purpose. They stumble through existence guided only by primitive emotions. Dr. Chen finally stood, her movement quiet but somehow commanding attention. The chamber's ambient lighting seemed to focus on her as she walked to the speaker's platform. Her stride steady despite the higher gravity maintained for the comfort of the majority species. Honored Council, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. You speak of our fragility and you are not wrong. We are fragile. Our bones do break. Our lives are brief flickering candles compared to the millennia enjoyed by many of you. We do require very specific conditions to survive. She paused, looking directly at Kethavar. But perhaps you have misunderstood what fragility truly means. She activated the chamber's holographic display system. Images began flowing through the air above the assembly. Images that made several species recoil in shock. This is Mount Everest on Earth, Dr. Chen narrated as the display showed tiny figures climbing an impossibly tall windswept peak. Every year, hundreds of humans attempt to reach its summit. The mountain kills many of them. The air is so thin that their organs begin to shut down. Temperatures drop to levels that freeze exposed flesh in minutes. Yet they climb. Not for resources, not for territory. They climb because it is there. The next image showed humans diving into the deepest ocean trenches. We explored the deepest parts of our world long before we had the technology to guarantee survival. We descended into crushing darkness where the pressure would implode most vessels, driven by nothing more than curiosity about what lay beneath. Kethavar's anterior arms twitched with irritation. This merely proves my point about your species' irrational. Does it? Dr. Chen interrupted smoothly. The display shifted to show the Proxima incident. Captain Torres, would you please stand? Marcus Torres rose, his scarred face impassive. The burns covering the left side of his body were clearly visible, testament to plasma exposure that should have been fatal. 3 years ago, Dr. Chen continued, Captain Torres's ship encountered a solar flare while evacuating colonists from a failing habitat. The radiation levels were beyond lethal. Any rational being would have retreated to a safe distance and accepted the inevitable loss of life. She looked around the chamber. Captain Torres ordered his crew to maintain position. For 6 hours, he and his team worked in an environment that was actively killing them, transferring over 2,000 colonists, including 47 Zephyrian traders, to safety. The chamber was completely still now. Even the energy-based Luxarians had stopped their usual flickering. When rescue ships arrived, they found Captain Torres's crew unconscious at their posts. their bodies failing from radiation poisoning. They had to be carried from their stations. Every single human on that ship suffered permanent cellular damage. Dr. Chen's voice grew quietly intense, and every single one of them, when they recovered enough to speak, asked the same question. Did we get everyone out? The display changed again, showing human colonies on worlds deemed uninhabitable by other species. Humans working in methane storms on Titan-class moons, establishing research stations in the radiation-soaked ruins of dead civilizations, building settlements on planets where the very air was toxic. You call us fragile because we break easily, Dr. Chen said. You call us irrational because we take risks that more durable species would never consider. You see chaos in our individual thinking and assume it makes us weak. She smiled, and something in that expression made even the massive granoids shift uncomfortably. What you fail to understand is that our fragility is not a weakness, it is the source of our strength. Because we can die so easily, we have learned to live completely. Because our time is limited, we do not waste it. Because we are small and weak and individual, we have learned to stand together and become something greater than the sum of our parts. The holographic display showed the construction of humanity's first interstellar vessel. Thousands of people working together across decades to achieve something that would benefit generations they would never meet. Every other species in this chamber evolved durability as their primary survival trait, Dr. Chen observed. You became strong or long-lived or unified or energy-based, and that strength became sufficient for survival. Humans had none of those advantages, so we became something else entirely. She gestured to Captain Torres. We became willing to die for strangers. We became capable of enduring the unendurable and achieving the impossible, not despite our fragility, but because of it. Kethvar started to speak, but Dr. Chen raised her hand. I will leave you with one final image, she said. The display showed Earth itself, blue and green and beautiful, but marked by the scars of countless disasters, both natural and artificial. This is our world. It has tried to kill us with ice ages and asteroids, plagues and famines, floods and droughts. We have nearly destroyed it ourselves more than once. By any logical measure, we should have gone extinct long ago. She looked around the chamber one last time. But we are still here. We are still climbing mountains we cannot conquer, exploring depths we cannot survive, and reaching for stars we cannot easily reach. We break and we heal. We fall and we rise. We die and we are remembered by those who continue the climb. Dr. Chen walked back to her seat, leaving the chamber in absolute silence. When the vote was finally taken, it was unanimous. Humanity was not just accepted into the Galactic Council. They were asked to chair the Committee on Crisis Response and Impossible Rescues. After all, as the Sectari Hive Queen observed with what might have been respect, who better to handle the impossible than a species too fragile to know it cannot be done?